Today, I'm going to get the simplest DIY you can possibly do on your four-wheel drive and make it significantly more complicated, but I think you're gonna like the outcome. If you haven't guessed already by the thumbnail and the title of this video, we're gonna be installing a dash cam in a next-gen Ranger or Everest. And now they are very, very simple to put in normally. It literally suction cups or sticks onto the windscreen with double-sided tape. You drop a cord down, plug it in the SIG socket, and you're good to go. But the outcome for that is crap, and you're gonna hate it every single time you get in the car, every single time the cord's flapping around. So instead, we're gonna spend an hour with zero auto electrical work, and we're gonna do a professional install for front and rear dash cams that is gonna look like it's come straight out of the Ford factory. And it's going to take very little tools in the process. Now, before we get stuck into the details of it, I'm just going to show you what we're actually installing. So we've got the Uniden DashView 40R. This one is a little bit unique in that it's 3 cameras. So obviously we've got the standard forward-facing camera. There's another one inside in case you lend your car to someone and they do something stupid. But the part that's going to complicate things a little bit is we're actually going to put one on the back as well. And that's super important if someone rear ends you, something happens with your trailer on the back or anything like that. But it does present a few unique problems. I'll show you what I mean. All right, so first things first, we've got the actual dash cam component, and this is a tiny little number. So you can see it's got the front facing camera, but it's also got one pointing backwards as well as the screen, so we can see everything that's going on. That itself is a pretty simple install. We'll dig a little bit deeper into the packaging here. There's our rear camera. There's a few different mounts and that kind of thing in here, memory card. So this absolute mountain of cable here is the problem we're gonna have to overcome. It connects this camera to that camera. So before we get any of the power or any mounts or anything happening, we're gonna figure this part out. And I've got a few little tricks that I think you'll like. Okay, so pretty much the first thing we wanna do is rough out what we're gonna do with these cameras. So this one we want pointing right out the back, but obviously it's going to be mounted up here. We're going to have to do some tricky stuff with the cable to get it there, but the main problem you can see we've got to overcome is this cable needs to go all the way from here through this joint and all the way up to the mirror where the front camera is going to mount. It could be a little bit of a tricky job, but it's a unique opportunity with the Everest. It's got these rear air conditioning vents, and I think we might be able to capitalize on that to make life a lot easier. We've got an idea, so come with me up the front and we'll have a look. So here's what I'm thinking, right? Normally with one of these, you'd get the cable and you'd tuck it up along inside the trim and you'd pop all this stuff off. But every time you do that, it's a chance to break something, and there's every chance the cable's gonna flop around. We can do that, and that is the way that an auto electrician would normally do it, but I do have an idea here. You can see in the Everest, we've got this huge tunnel running front to back. What I'm thinking is if I pop this out and get my handy dandy yellow tongue, which electricians will know what I'm talking about, I reckon I can potentially feed it straight back through and make this a very simple install with a very, very neat result. Let's try. Like most things these days, it's held in with about 1,000,000 clips, and it feels terrible, but it should pop down pretty easily. There we go. That was a lot simpler than I thought it would be. Unplug it. All right, that's what I'm hoping for. There's a big channel right there. It might take a couple of cracks, but let's see how we go here. That's feeling like we're right at the back. Let's go have a look. All right, I'll be completely transparent. It didn't pop through the first take, but we have managed, after maybe 2 or 3 minutes of mucking around, to get it to pop straight through. And you can see, literally just look at this, right? Every single trim between that mirror and here, we would have had to have taken off on one side, but the yellow tongue has got us straight through. We can attach our cable now. We'll try a few different things on that. I'll show you what works, not the things we try. And then we can get this run, and hopefully things start looking a little bit simpler after that. Now, one thing you will notice is I am gloved up. That's for good reason. We've had to pop the rubber off here just to give us a little bit more access. And you can see there's actually a little bit of some sort of sealant in there, some sort of Sikaflex, and it is the stickiest substance known to mankind. So a pair of rubber gloves to stop it gunking everything up, and maybe some rubbing alcohol and then a little rag will tidy it all up when you're done. But in the grand scheme of things, not a big problem. All right, well, if I didn't have bad luck, I wouldn't have any luck at all. Things, unsurprisingly, didn't go to plan. So if you know how these roofs are constructed in a car, you know that there's a series of ridges that go along. And we thought we were clear from it, but what we discovered when we ran the cable through is we had actually popped in between the two of them. So we've ended up having to go a bit of a hybrid, sort of between plan A and plan B. So as you can see, we've popped a few of these interior trims off, which isn't a monumental issue. We've reached up in, just been real careful above the cardboard roof lining to not crease it, and fished out the cable. So pretty much what we're gonna do is we've run it with that yellow tongue straight up the center, back to about here. Unfortunately, if we were in a Ranger right now, we'd be home free, but we're gonna have to just pop it up under the side of the trim along this back edge. So it's a little bit frustrating, and it's probably added maybe about half an hour to it. All right, now we've basically just run the yellow tongue over those edges, and there we go. I'd like to say nice and easy, but to be honest, for a good half an hour there, I wanted to curse anyone who had ever ran a cable before in their life, but we're here now. So we'll pop those trims back on, and this might be an hour and a half job instead of an hour. Still pretty easy in terms of DIYs though. All right, so we've got the trim all back in, all these side panels are all back on, looking factory fresh. We've stuck out just as much cable as we need. What we're gonna do is we're gonna put this smack bang in the center. We can adjust the angle later. That looks pretty good there. A little bit of corro. Now, one thing I will be completely honest with you, I would have really liked to have gotten this cable through the factory channels here. And I did look at doing that. That was the original plan, but the more we worked with this USB cable, the more we realized that it's just not gonna get through those tight little channels. So it's something that if you are super comfortable with electrical, you could cut the end off and solder it back on once it's through, but in terms of a home DIY, that's probably amplifying things a little bit more than most people are comfortable with. So this is what we're gonna do. There we go. Pop that in there. That looks pretty good to me. Like I said, not as neat as I was hoping. I was hoping to get it through here, but with a USB plug on the end, it's just not gonna happen. Like I said, if you're confident enough, you can cut it off and solder it back on, but in terms of simple DIYs, I think that's not bad at all. Let's tidy up here and we'll go stick the front end on. Okay, now with the back buttoned up, it's pretty straightforward. We've just got to plug this cable into here. We've got to get some power to it. We're going to work out where we're actually going to mount this. So we'll figure the cables out in a minute. A few different options for here. Most people normally would run it up around this side on the driver's side just so they can see everything. But the unique challenges of filming cars, that's actually where we're going to put the GoPros for the next season of the show. So what I think we're going to do is we're going to run it up about here. One thing you do need to be conscious of though is that there is the cables sticking up out. So simplicity, neatness, you might be tempted to try and push it up as high as you can, but you do need to leave that little bit of space. But plug this cable in just so I know it's going to clear when it goes up for good. And that looks bang on to me right there. One thing I do like with these Uniden ones is you can actually slide them off the mount. It's a little bit tricky, but you can see it's got a little keyway there, so we can keep working on it with that actually safely out of the way. Okay, so there are a couple of different options for actually powering it up. The kit comes with the typical SIG socket, so you can bash the USB cable in, plug it straight in. So we said very quick and easy, not necessarily neat and professional. It does come with a wiring loom that you can wire direct to battery or power sources, lots of power sources in these Rangers or whatever you're installing it into. That is good if you want it to run 24/7, because you can run it to like a second battery, that kind of thing. We're not going to use that though, because the Rangers and the Everest that this is actually has a little USB up behind the mirror designed specifically for dash cams. That's going to power on and off with the ignition, which is what we want. It's nothing worse than ending up with 27 hours of footage just because you parked your four-wheel drive. So it's as simple as a little USB-A cable. We've plugged it in here, tucked it up under the trim. We'll button some stuff up on the other side, and then we're getting close to done. These yellow tongues are possibly the greatest invention of all time for electrical work. I've used them plenty of times over the years for houses, but never realized how good they would be for auto electrical stuff too. Let's tape this on here. Try and keep it as flat as possible. It's pretty much, if you're using a yellow tongue, it's because you've got a tight space. So you want to try and keep it nice and neat. Now, one thing I try and do when I'm taping is I start at the back and I tape towards the front. And the reason being is it means that whatever you're running past is going to pop over these edges. Whereas if you go the other way, that bit of metal or plastic or whatever can actually grab on those lips. So always start at the back, work your way to the front, and run it past a little bit. We'll pull this one through and then I'll have a look at the power cable. All right, so we'll get this set to go back on. Plug a little patch lead in. Get our power cable in. You can tape this up into a neat bundle and put it in there. I don't really like doing that though, because when you do that, you end up with like a big lump of cable and that all moves around. I find if you just kind of jam it in there, it's a bit more spread out and moves a little bit more even, and because it fills the space, you're less likely to get a knocking noise. It's especially important if you go actual four-wheel driving, places where there's corrugations and things like that. But people have different opinions. Other people might prefer it the other way, but that's just what I've found works for me. Plug this part back in, nice and color-coded. Thank you, Ford. You can see there's these little tabs here. Slide them up into place. A couple of karate chops. We're done. All right, let's turn it on and see how we've gone. We've got a red light, that's a good sign. That's a happy noise. All right, beautiful. There's my beautiful face here. It's all set up before I plugged it in and set the times and everything, but it's just cycled through. So we've got the front camera, got the inside camera, and you can see the back camera as well. So we can cycle through them all, and a GPS speedo. That's good to have. All right, so there you go. It ended up being a little bit more trouble than we were hoping. I thought we'd have a straight shot through and it'd work out well, but you know what they say about the best laid plans. All in all though, I think it was really worth the effort. A lot of people get these things and they'll just throw the cable on down into here, and for the next 5, 6, 20 years, they've got the car, there's cables dangling around. We've done a really professional, neat install here. Hasn't taken any skill at all. There's no soldering, there's no technical ability here. We've literally just fluffed about running some cables. And I think all in all, it's really worth it. We've got a neat professional install that's gonna last the distance. Now our car's covered front and back. And for the peace of mind that you get out of having a dash cam, I think that's been a pretty good way to spend an hour or two in the driveway. See you on the next one.